Hello there, and welcome. I am so glad you are here tonight. Take a slow breath and let the room grow quiet around you. The weight of the day can fall away while your thoughts become soft and unhurried. You are safe in this moment. Tonight we will follow the secret life of light from the first clear moment of the universe to the gentle glow that settles on your eyelids when you close your eyes. In the beginning there was only heat and density. A bright ocean of energy where nothing could travel freely. As space expanded, that ocean thinned and cooled and the first atoms formed. Then light broke free and began a journey that has never ended. The faint remnant of that first release still surrounds you as a soft background that fills all of space. You may think of it as the first memory of the universe. A quiet echo that has crossed unimaginable distance to reach this night. From that ancient moment onward, light became the messenger of time. The sunlight that warms your hand began its trip about 8 minutes ago. The glimmer from a nearby star began years before your life started. The most distant galaxies send messages that travel for billions of years before they touch a mirror or a lens or the back of an eye. To see is to witness history. A letter carried across the dark, written by a source that may already be gone. Light behaves with a grace that seems simple and yet holds deep mystery. It moves as a wave that paints color and shadow, and it arrives as a particle that carries a precise packet of energy. These two descriptions are not enemies. They complete one another. As a wave, light spreads, bends and interferes, making rings on thin films and halos around bright objects. As a particle, it arrives in tiny counts that your eyes and instruments can register one by one. Both views describe one fateful phenomenon. Color is the music of light. White sunlight contains many rhythms at once. When it passes through rain or glass, each rhythm bends by a slightly different amount and unfolds into a smooth spectrum. You see red where the bend is gentle and violet where the bend is strong. A rainbow is not a fixed object waiting in the sky. It is a meeting of the sun behind you, the drops before you, and the place where you stand. Light also writes the rhythm of your body. Morning brightness reaches special cells in your eyes and signals the inner clock that guides sleep and waking. Hormones adjust, attention rises, and the day begins. As evening comes and the sky cools toward gold and then blue, the body hears that message and prepares to rest. Your life moves with the turning of the planet because light keeps the beat. When light meets matter, it listens to the surface it has found. Some of it is absorbed and becomes warmth. Some of it is reflected and becomes the shape you see. Some of it passes through and continues on, changed but unbroken. A leaf looks green because it keeps much of the red and blue and returns the green to your eyes. The sky looks blue because air scatters short wavelengths more strongly, so that blue light fills the dome above you while the longer waves go on toward the horizon. The path of light responds to gravity. Space is not an empty stage. Where matter gathers, the stage curves and light follows the curve. Through this bending, distant galaxies can act like lenses, magnifying and stretching the glow of objects far behind them. By tracing those curves, astronomers weigh what cannot be seen and map the large-scale structure of the universe. Life remembers light in many forms. Plants turn it into food and air. Fireflies speak with it across summer fields. Creatures of the deep ocean make their own soft lamps to find one another in the dark. Even within your body, faint quanta are released during ordinary chemistry. A quiet radiance that instruments can detect. You do not only see light. You are made from it. The energy that moves your muscles and fires your nerves began as sunlight that fell on leaves and entered the food chain. The warmth in your hands is a memory of the star you circle. The brightness in your thoughts is kin to the glow of distant suns. Now let your breath slow again. Feel the air arrive and leave like a small tide. The first light that escaped the early universe is still traveling, and a part of it has reached you. You are a brief resting place on its path. As you listen tonight, we will continue to follow it through clear facts and gentle images until the story softens into sleep. Light is patient and there is time enough for everything it has to say. When you are ready, allow your eyes to soften and let the story guide you forward with calm and quiet wonder. Imagine the first morning on Earth when the oceans were new and the sky was still young. The horizon glowed faintly as sunlight touched the waves for the first time. The water, once dark and restless, began to sparkle. The air shimmered, carrying warmth that no creature had yet felt. That was the beginning of day, the start of rhythm, the first conversation between light and life. From that moment forward, nothing on this planet would ever be the same. Light is a traveler that never stops. It moves through emptiness at a speed that no other thing can reach, crossing billions of kilometers each second without pause. It carries no weight and yet holds energy powerful enough to warm worlds and ignite stars. When it meets matter, it listens carefully, bending, reflecting, or disappearing within. Each encounter changes the universe a little. And every moment of seeing, every color and shadow, is born from that meeting. If you could follow a single photon, you would witness a journey beyond imagination. It might begin deep within the heart of a star where atoms collide with such force that light bursts free. For thousands of years it may bounce within that star, trapped by its density, until at last it escapes into space. From there, it travels unhindered, passing planets, clouds of dust, and the cold between galaxies. It does not tire, it does not slow, and when at last it touches an eye or a leaf or a grain of sand, its voyage ends in transformation. It becomes warmth, vision, and memory. Light moves as both wave and particle, and though this may sound contradictory, it is simply two perspectives of the same truth. As a wave, it ripples through the fabric of space, spreading and bending, creating patterns of interference that produce color and texture. As a particle, it acts as a small messenger, carrying energy in packets that strike atoms and release reactions. The universe holds these opposites together effortlessly, allowing both to exist without conflict. This harmony is one of nature's quiet lessons. Opposites can coexist when balance is respected. When light enters a new medium, its path bends. The denser the material, the slower the light travels. And this change of speed shifts its direction. This bending is called refraction. And it is the reason water can turn straight objects into curves and why glass can bring the distant near. The human eye uses refraction every moment. Light passes through the cornea and lens, bending just enough to focus on the retina. Without this bending, there would be no clarity, no detail, only blur. The world becomes sharp through the patient obedience of light to the rules of its journey. The air around you is filled with scattered sunlight. As those beams strike molecules and tiny particles, the shorter blue wavelengths scatter in all directions while the longer red and yellow waves pass more directly through. That is why the sky appears blue during the day and why the setting sun glows in tones of amber and rose. Each sunrise and sunset is a portrait painted by distance and atmosphere. A reminder that beauty is not fixed but arises from movement and change. Sometimes light divides itself into a spectrum of colors. When it meets a raindrop, part of it reflects inside while the rest refracts outward. The process repeats again and again until the drop acts like a prism. separating white sunlight into the full rainbow. What you see arcing across the sky is not an object but a relationship between you, the sun behind you, and the rain in front of you. Another person a few steps away sees their own unique rainbow. In this way, light reminds us that beauty depends on perspective, that no two eyes ever share the exact same color of wonder. Every reflection you see, every glimmer on water or shine on glass, follows the simplest rule in physics. The angle at which light arrives equals the angle at which it leaves. This law creates mirrors, sparkles, and even moonlight. The moon does not shine on its own. It borrows sunlight and returns it softly to earth, a quiet echo that turns night into silver. Through reflection, the universe keeps a rhythm of giving and returning. Light never vanishes, it only changes direction. Light also defines the passage of time. Astronomers measure distance in light years because nothing moves faster. The closest star beyond the sun is more than 4 years away, which means the glow we see tonight began before recent memory. Some galaxies are so far that their light began before Earth was formed. To observe them is to look back through history, to see the first shapes of the cosmos. Light allows the universe to see itself across time. Here on Earth, light becomes the architect of life. Plants turn sunlight into sugar through photosynthesis, creating the foundation of every food chain. The energy stored in the meal you eat began in that process. Every breath of oxygen you take was once part of a leaf that opened itself to the sky. Even in the deepest caves or oceans where sunlight cannot reach, life still depends on energy that traces back to the sun. To live is to carry light in another form. Your emotions are guided by light as much as your body is. The brightness of morning awakens focus and energy. The gentle fade of evening quiets thought and prepares the mind for rest. The absence of light brings stillness. The return of dawn brings renewal. Without realizing it, you are constantly moving in harmony with the sun. The light outside shapes the light within. When you look at your surroundings now, notice the patterns of brightness and shade. Each surface catches light differently, revealing its own story. The smoothness of skin, the texture of wood, the shine of water, all exist because light interacts uniquely with them. Vision is not only about seeing, it is about listening to how light speaks through matter. Every beam of light is a path of connection. It links the sun to the sea, the sky to your eyes, the stars to your mind. The same light that warms the ground has crossed interstellar space, has touched comets and planets, has reflected from moons and clouds, and finally has entered this room. It has chosen to rest here with you for a moment before continuing on its way. Take a slow breath and feel the gentle pulse that light leaves behind. It is everywhere, shaping color, time, and thought. It moves endlessly yet carries stillness within its motion. It touches everything but remains unchanged. The story of light is the story of all things that move without losing their grace. Light is the foundation of everything you see, the silent force that turns emptiness into form and shadow into meaning. Even now, as you rest, countless particles of light move through the space around you, passing through air and glass and skin without sound or effort. Each one carries a small amount of energy, a fragment of information from some distant source. Some were born in the sun a few minutes ago. Some began their journey from stars that no longer exist. And all of them travel according to the same simple laws that have guided light since the first moment of time. At its core, light is movement itself. It is an oscillation of energy that weaves electric and magnetic fields together into a pattern so perfect that it can cross the void without needing anything to carry it. Its speed, the fastest known in the universe, is not only a measurement of distance but the rhythm that defines the flow of existence. If you could ride alongside a beam of light, you would find that time slows and distance collapses. For light does not experience either in the way you do. It exists in a single eternal moment, moving endlessly yet remaining unchanged. A single particle of light is called a photon. It has no rest mass, no shape, and no color until it meets matter. Yet it carries energy with absolute precision. The color of a photon depends on its frequency. Red light vibrates more slowly and carries less energy. Blue light vibrates faster and carries more. Beyond what your eyes can see lies an entire spectrum of invisible light. Radio waves stretch in long, slow ripples. Microwaves hum in gentle warmth. X-rays and gamma rays flash with fierce intensity. The visible world is only a small island in this vast ocean of radiation. And everything you know depends on how your senses interpret this tiny fraction of reality. When light meets matter, it reveals the personality of the world. It can bounce, bend, vanish, or pass through unchanged. When it bounces, you see reflection. That is what allows you to see your face in a mirror or the glow of the moon on a quiet lake. When it bends, you see refraction. That is what makes glass magnify and water turn straight objects into curves. When it disappears, it has been absorbed, its energy turned into warmth or into the chemistry of life. Some of that energy becomes food. Some becomes the heat you feel on your skin when the sun rises. Light never wastes itself. It transforms and continues. The colors you see are not properties of objects but negotiations between matter and light. A leaf looks green because it keeps the red and blue parts of sunlight and returns only the green to your eyes. A white wall gives back nearly everything, while a black stone keeps almost all of it. Every surface chooses which wavelengths to hold and which to release. And that choice becomes color. But color does not exist without eyes. It is born in perception, in the meeting between light and awareness. The human eye is one of light's most remarkable instruments. Light first enters through the cornea, a clear curved window that bends it toward the center. Then it passes through the pupil, whose opening grows or shrinks to balance brightness. The crystalline lens behind the pupil adjusts its shape so that near or distant images fall sharply on the retina at the back of the eye. There, light becomes electricity. Millions of sensitive cells called rods and cones convert photons into tiny signals that travel along the optic nerve to the brain, where they are shaped into vision. The world you see is not made of things but of light transformed into thought. Rods are tuned to faint light and movement, allowing you to see in darkness though without color. Cones respond to different ranges of wavelength, one to red, one to green, and one to blue. Together they produce every shade you have ever known. When both red and green respond equally, you see yellow. When all three respond at once, you see white. What you experience as color is an interpretation of balance. Your mind composes a picture from signals that reach at a heartbeat after light touches your eyes. You are always seeing the past, even if only by a fraction of a second. The influence of light extends far beyond vision. Deep inside your brain lies a tiny cluster of neurons that keeps time by measuring brightness. This biological clock controls when you feel alert, hungry, or tired. Morning light entering your eyes silences the hormone that brings sleep and wakes every cell in the body to begin its daily work. As the day fades and the light turns softer, another signal releases melatonin, preparing you for rest. This cycle has guided life for billions of years. Every organism on Earth, from the smallest plant to the largest mammal, listens to the same cue: the return and retreat of light. Light also shapes the world of plants. Each leaf is a solar panel designed to capture photons and turn them into sugar, storing energy that becomes food for everything that eats. The process of photosynthesis begins when light strikes chlorophyll molecules, exciting electrons that set off a chain of reactions. Water splits, oxygen escapes into the air, and the leftover energy becomes the foundation of all nourishment. Every meal you have ever eaten is sunlight captured, stored, and transformed. The warmth that lives in your body tonight began as light. Even the color of the sky is a result of light's conversation with air. When sunlight enters the atmosphere, it collides with molecules that scatter shorter wavelengths more strongly than longer ones. The blue end of the spectrum spreads across the dome of the sky while the red passes straight through to the horizon. That is why midday is blue and sunset gold. When the sun lowers, its light travels through more air, losing its blues until only the deep oranges remain. Every evening is a small experiment in physics, played out above the world in silence. The journey of light is also the journey of temperature. A candle flame glows red because it burns cooler than the white light of the sun. Metal heated to greater intensity turns from dull red to yellow to blue before melting. Color and temperature are partners. Photographers call this the warmth of light. In truth, it is a measure of frequency. Yet it feels emotional because you have lived your entire life under its rhythm. The amber of dawn makes you calm. The white of midday makes you alert. The violet of twilight invites reflection. The body remembers these cues even when the mind does not. Light defines time beyond daily rhythm. Astronomers use it to measure distance across the cosmos. A light year is the space light travels in 1 year, nearly 10 trillion kilometers. The light from the nearest star beyond the sun began its journey 4 years ago. The glow from some distant galaxies began before Earth existed. Each point of light in the sky is a memory preserved by motion, a record of what was. To look upward at night is to look into the past, to see time turned visible. Even when light seems to vanish, it leaves traces. It warms what it touches and changes what it enters. The energy from sunlight drives wind, rain, and the movement of oceans. It powers every climate pattern and every rhythm of growth. It is patient and constant, shaping the world in silence. Without it there would be no color, no warmth, no life, no memory. Everything begins and ends with light. The journey of light through matter is the reason the world feels alive. When sunlight strikes the surface of a lake, part of it reflects back into the sky while the rest enters the water, slowing down as it moves through the denser medium. The bending of its path creates ripples of brightness that dance beneath the surface. Each tiny wave of light refracts differently, scattering colors into ribbons of turquoise, jade, and gold. The same principle gives gems their brilliance, makes glass shimmer, and turns drops of rain into moments of pure color. Every reflection, every gleam, every flash of light that catches your attention is the result of these simple laws at work. Inside the natural world, light never rests. It is absorbed, released, and reborn again and again. When a photon strikes a leaf, it excites an electron within a molecule of chlorophyll. That small surge of energy sets off a chain of reactions that transforms sunlight into stored chemical power. In that instant, the energy that began in the heart of a star becomes part of living tissue. When an animal eats the plant, that same energy becomes motion. When it breathes, the carbon dioxide released returns to the air, where another plant captures it again. This endless loop is how light becomes life. How the glow of distant stars becomes the warmth of your own heartbeat. In the quiet rhythm of your body, light continues to play its role. The cells of the skin contain receptors that respond to ultraviolet rays, triggering the creation of vitamin D, which strengthens bones and supports the immune system. Too little sunlight leaves the body weary and the spirit dim. Too much can harm, yet in balance, it maintains health, guiding the invisible processes that sustain you. The same rays that turn your skin warm are also keeping your blood strong and your thoughts clear. Light has texture as well as tone. The soft haze of dawn, the sharp brightness of noon, and the deep amber of sunset each produce different emotional responses. Morning light stirs focus and intention. Midday clarity sharpens awareness. Evening glow invites reflection. Artists and architects have always known this truth. They shape spaces and colors to align with the natural changes of light throughout the day. Cathedrals were built so that sunlight could slide through stained glass and paint the air with color. Japanese homes were designed with deep eaves to filter harsh brightness into calm shadow. Every culture, knowingly or not, has lived in conversation with the quality of light. In science, light reveals truth by what it hides. When a prism separates white light into a rainbow, each line within that spectrum is a clue to the material that produced it. Every element leaves a unique pattern of colors, a fingerprint of energy transitions. Astronomers use this property to read the composition of stars, measuring the ratio of hydrogen, helium, iron, and countless other elements that burn within them. Even without touching those distant suns, we know what they are made of because their light tells us. Through spectroscopy, light becomes language. It speaks across distances so vast that no other form of communication could survive them. When light travels through space, it does not remain untouched. The expansion of the universe stretches its wavelength, turning once brilliant visible rays into faint, cold radiation. This slow stretching is why the universe glows softly in the microwave range, a remnant of its fiery birth. By studying this background glow, scientists can map the early structure of the cosmos, tracing where matter first gathered to form galaxies. Light, in its patient journey, has kept a record of every step creation has taken. Each photon carries the story of where it has been, a diary of the universe written in frequency. Closer to home, light gives rise to weather and season. The tilt of the Earth determines how sunlight spreads across its surface. In summer, rays strike more directly, warming the air and stirring storms. In winter, the same light arrives at a lower angle, spreading thinly, producing calm and cold. The rhythm of migration, hibernation, and flowering all follow this pattern. Even human moods rise and fall with the changing angle of the sun. The chemistry of light governs the chemistry of emotion. Every material on Earth interacts with light in a unique way. Transparent substances like glass or water let it pass through with minimal scattering. Translucent materials, such as wax or skin, allow some light to enter and diffuse before releasing it, creating a soft glow. Opaque surfaces absorb or reflect nearly everything, defining the sharp boundaries of vision. Polished metal reflects almost perfectly, which is why mirrors can exist. Matte stone scatters, giving surfaces their gentle, velvety finish. The entire visual world is built on this spectrum of interactions between light and matter. The warmth you feel from sunlight is not only energy but history. The photons that strike you now began in the sun's core hundreds of thousands of years ago. Inside that fiery heart, atoms fuse together, releasing bursts of energy that begin their slow migration outward. Each photon is absorbed and remitted countless times as it travels through the layers of plasma until it finally escapes into open space. Only then does it race freely to Earth, taking just over 8 minutes to bridge the distance. When sunlight touches your face, you are feeling the culmination of a journey that began before human life existed. The spectrum of light extends far beyond what your eyes can detect. Infrared light warms your skin though you cannot see it. Ultraviolet creates chemical reactions that produce the glow of white flowers and the markings on a butterfly's wings. Bees navigate using patterns invisible to humans. Snakes use infrared to sense the heat of their prey in the dark. The world you perceive is only a fragment of reality, bounded by the limits of your biology. Beyond those limits lies an ocean of unseen brightness, just as real and just as alive. Artificial light has extended human vision into the night but has also separated humanity from the natural rhythm of day and darkness. The first lamps made from oil imitated the golden tone of fire. Then came gaslight, electric bulbs, and finally the pure white of modern LEDs. Each step brought convenience but also distance from the soft transitions that once guided the body and mind. The human eye evolved to follow the slow fading of twilight, not the sharp glow of artificial day. Light that never dims can confuse the body's sense of time, keeping it awake when it longs to rest. To live in balance with light means not only to seek brightness but also to honor darkness. The story of light is one of transformation. Every photon that touches matter changes both itself and what it meets. It can lift an electron to a higher state, create a spark of heat, or initiate chemical reactions that form new substances. In photosensitive materials, light becomes pattern and record, the basis of photography. In living tissue, it becomes signal and sensation. Light writes upon everything it encounters, leaving behind the signature of its presence even when the brightness has passed. If you close your eyes and breathe slowly, you can still feel the warmth of light on your skin. That warmth is energy converted from motion into sensation. It enters you quietly, spreading through the blood, slowing the heartbeat, softening the edges of thought. Light and life are inseparable. Wherever one goes, the other follows. The boundary between physics and feeling dissolves. Light is everywhere, moving, bending, changing, revealing. It links the smallest atom to the largest galaxy, the flicker of a candle to the brightness of a star. It tells us that the universe is not silent but singing softly in frequencies that fill all space. When you look around and notice a gleam on the floor, a shadow on the wall, or a spark in someone's eyes, you are seeing light telling its oldest story again. Light is the patient sculptor of reality, the silent thread that ties together every surface and every shape. When it passes through air, water, or glass, it carries with it the memory of everything it has touched. The space between you and what you see is not empty, it is alive with waves of light moving in countless directions, reflecting and scattering off each particle of matter. Each glimmer you notice is not the light itself but its conversation with the world. The ray that falls through a dusty window reveals the invisible dance of air. The haze you see when sunlight cuts through mist is light writing in motion, showing that stillness does not exist, that even the quietest space is full of life. Every reflection, shimmer, and glow around you is a result of light obeying its simple and unwavering laws. A drop of water on a leaf can hold an entire image of the sky because light respects geometry. It meets the surface, changes direction, and continues without resistance. A calm lake mirrors mountains because light travels in straight lines, reflecting at equal angles. Even a grain of sand becomes a prism when struck by sunlight, splitting the beam into faint threads of color. You live surrounded by the artistry of physics, though it feels like poetry. When light encounters a barrier or an edge, it does not stop abruptly. It bends slightly, spreading into soft curves. This bending is called diffraction, and it is the reason you can hear and see around corners. It happens when a wave interacts with something comparable to its size. You can observe it in the halo around a street lamp on a foggy night, or in the delicate patterns that appear when sunlight passes through a fine cloth. The world's beauty is full of these gentle imperfections, born from the way light adapts to boundaries without ever breaking. In nature, interference creates many of the colors we find most vivid. A thin film of oil on water produces ripples of blue and violet because light waves bouncing from the top and bottom surfaces combine or cancel each other. The same process gives butterfly wings their metallic sheen and the feathers of a peacock their iridescent glow. These colors do not come from pigment but from structure. They change as you move because the angle of the light changes. The natural world learned to paint with reflection long before human eyes existed to admire it. Every element has its own relationship with light. When heated, atoms release photons at precise energies, each producing a specific color. The crimson of strontium, the green of copper, the violet of potassium. All of these are the signatures of elements speaking through brightness. When you look at a flame, you are seeing light made by electrons moving between energy levels inside atoms. That same process happens in stars. On a far grander scale, the spectrum of each star reveals its composition and temperature, letting astronomers read the chemistry of the heavens. The universe leaves its handwriting everywhere, and light is the ink. As light moves through the cosmos, it stretches. The expansion of the universe pulls its waves longer, shifting their color toward red and lowering their energy. The light that began as brilliant blue billions of years ago now arrives as faint microwave radiation. It is still here, filling every corner of space as the cosmic background that hums softly around our planet. This glow is older than any star, older than any world, and yet it continues to move. It is proof that nothing luminous is ever truly lost. On Earth, the same laws play out in smaller ways. The reason the sky is blue lies in scattering. Molecules in the atmosphere are small enough to scatter short wavelengths. And blue is the shortest wavelength your eyes can see clearly. When the sun sinks lower, its light must travel through more air. The blue scatters away, and the longer red and orange wavelengths remain, painting the sky with warmth. The sunset you watch each evening is a quiet echo of cosmic mechanics, a reminder that even beauty follows order. Light governs energy on a scale both grand and intimate. About a third of the sunlight that reaches Earth reflects back into space, while the rest is absorbed by land and sea. The heat that returns upward as infrared light is partly trapped by gases in the atmosphere, keeping the planet warm enough for life. This delicate balance allows oceans to stay liquid and air to remain gentle. Without it, the world would be silent and frozen. Too much, and it would burn. Every dawn that feels comfortable, every breeze that carries life, is a result of light arriving in just the right proportion. Every living thing carries a record of light's influence. The spiral of a fern uncurling toward the morning sun follows an ancient pattern of geometry known as the golden ratio, which describes the growth of shells, galaxies, and flowers alike. These patterns arise naturally when matter moves in harmony with light. The energy that travels outward from a source creates a rhythm, a shape that repeats in time and space. Life recognizes this rhythm instinctively, aligning itself with the direction of brightness, always reaching toward it. The tendency of a plant to lean toward sunlight is a visible metaphor for all existence seeking awareness. Even in darkness, light continues to work. It can become trapped within objects, bouncing endlessly between molecules before being released as warmth. That warmth, in turn, radiates out again as longer waves of infrared energy. When you touch a stone that has been sitting in the sun, you feel photons that began in the core of the sun thousands of centuries ago. Their journey through space, air, and matter ends in your hand. The connection between you and the star that sustains life is direct, immediate, and constant. Light carries information in ways that go beyond human perception. Invisible signals move through the air around you, carrying voices, messages, and data as modulated waves of energy. Fiber optic cables beneath oceans transmit entire libraries of thought as flashes of light guided through glass. In these strands, photons bounce from wall to wall, traveling thousands of kilometers with almost no loss. Every time you send a message, light carries your words across the planet, linking your world to others with the same elegance that connects the stars. Light teaches patience. It never resists what it encounters. It bends when asked, reflects when blocked, transforms when absorbed, and always continues. In every reflection and every glow lies a lesson about resilience and grace. When you watch sunlight move across a wall, you are witnessing time written in brightness. When you see the first beam of dawn touch the horizon, you are seeing the completion of a journey that began long before you awoke. Each day repeats that cycle. Each night returns the promise that it will begin again. There is a kind of quiet devotion in the way light behaves. It never hurries yet never stops. It reveals the smallest details, from the edge of a petal to the swirl of a fingerprint. And it carries the grandeur of galaxies within the same set of rules. Through its constancy, it keeps the universe knowable. It does not demand attention but rewards observation. It does not change its nature but allows everything else to change because of it. If you sit for a while in the dimness and allow your eyes to adjust, you will notice that the dark is never absolute. There is always a trace of glow, a memory of light still lingering. Shadows breathe softly with it. Surfaces shimmer faintly where the smallest photon has landed. Light teaches that nothing is entirely gone, that even absence holds presence. When you think of light as energy, you see its reach. When you think of it as memory, you feel its tenderness. It connects you to every dawn that has ever risen and every creature that has ever turned its face to the sun. Light is the one story that everything shares. The quiet bond between atoms, oceans, and minds. Light continues to reveal the world even when you do not notice its work. Every heartbeat, every thought, every reflection in the eye is bound to its rhythm. The photons that strike your skin this very moment began their journey in the core of the sun long before there were people to feel them. Inside that core, atoms of hydrogen fused into helium, releasing energy that slowly fought its way outward through dense layers of gas. Each photon was absorbed and remitted countless times before it finally escaped into open space. Only then did it travel freely across 93 million miles to reach Earth, carrying with it the warmth that sustains every form of life you know. When that sunlight reaches the planet, it begins a new set of transformations. It strikes oceans, mountains, forests, and cities, scattering into every direction. Some of it warms the ground and air, driving wind and weather. Some of it reflects back towards space, balancing temperature. Some becomes food through the chemistry of photosynthesis. The story of every season begins with light. Spring is born when the sun climbs higher and its rays strengthen. Summer thrives in the full flood of brightness. Autumn arrives as the light tilts away, and winter rests under its gentle retreat. The rhythm of the earth's tilt writes a poem of warmth and shadow that repeats forever. Light also shapes emotion, not only through color but through intensity. Bright, clear light awakens alertness. Dim, warm light quiets thought and invites rest. The difference between activity and peace is often a matter of brightness. In the far north, where winter days are short, the lack of sunlight can cause melancholy, a reminder of how deeply your body depends on brightness. When the first rays return in spring, people feel their energy rise as though the soul itself has been refilled. Light feeds both body and spirit in ways no food or language can replace. Every form of art is an attempt to understand or capture light. Painters mix pigments to mimic its warmth. Sculptors carve surfaces that catch or hide it. Photographers chase the perfect balance between brightness and shadow. Musicians even describe tone as brightness or darkness, borrowing from the language of vision to explain sound. Architects design with light as their true material, shaping spaces to hold it, soften it, or release it in patterns that guide emotion. Through creation, humanity continues the dialogue that began when the first eyes opened beneath the sun. Light also defines communication beyond art. Every screen that glows in front of you is a field of controlled light, shaping letters and colors that carry meaning. The fiber optic cables beneath oceans pulse with coded bursts of illumination, transmitting voices and images faster than thought. Satellites orbiting far above use beams of invisible light to connect continents. Each bit of data, each fragment of memory, is a flicker in the long story of light. It is as though the universe gave us its oldest tool, and we are still learning to use it to speak across distance. In the natural world, light creates balance through opposition. The contrast between day and night allows rest and renewal. The shift from sunlight to starlight gives time for reflection. Even plants pause their growth in darkness, using the stored energy gathered by day to build and heal. Without darkness, light would lose its meaning. The two depend on each other in the same way inhale needs exhale. In the same way the wave needs the shore. The beauty of the world lies not in constant brightness but in the rhythm between illumination and shadow. There are colors beyond the visible that affect life in subtle ways. Ultraviolet light, though unseen, shapes the markings on flowers that guide bees to their nectar. Infrared light carries the heat you feel radiating from a campfire even when the flames are gone. Animals perceive these hidden forms as naturally as you see red and blue. To them, the world looks entirely different yet obeys the same principles. The diversity of life is, in part, the diversity of how beings interpret light. Each species reads a different chapter of the same cosmic story. Light's influence stretches from the smallest quantum to the largest galaxy. In laboratories, scientists manipulate photons to explore the boundaries of matter. They use laser beams to trap atoms, measure distances with impossible precision, and study how light interacts with gravity itself. On the largest scale, telescopes collect faint rays from the edge of the observable universe, allowing humanity to see almost back to the beginning of time. In both extremes, the same truth holds. Light is the messenger of knowledge, the traveler that carries information across every barrier. Light also teaches humility. It shows that perception is limited, that what you see is not all that exists. The night sky may look full of stars, but for every point of brightness you can see, there are billions more too faint or too far away. Between those stars lie vast regions of invisible energy and dark matter that light cannot touch. The visible universe is only a thin veil over something deeper. Yet without that veil, there would be no wonder. Light's partial revelation keeps curiosity alive. Even silence is filled with light. Photons move without sound, but their presence can be felt as warmth, seen as color, sensed as mood. When a room glows with gentle afternoon brightness, you feel calm not because of the temperature but because of the quality of the illumination. Light affects the nervous system directly, soothing or energizing it according to tone and intensity. It acts as both stimulus and comfort, a bridge between physics and feeling. The mystery of light lies in its ability to unite opposites. It is both wave and particle, both motion and rest. It carries energy yet has no mass. It reveals the visible world but travels invisibly until it meets something that can respond. It is everywhere yet belongs nowhere. The paradox does not make it confusing, it makes it complete. Through light, the universe shows that harmony can exist between things that seem irreconcilable. To live in awareness of light is to live in awareness of connection. Every object you see is lit by something else. Every shadow you cast depends on a source that may be far away. Even the darkest night carries the faint shimmer of starlight. You are not separate from this web of illumination. You are part of it, a being who absorbs, reflects, and returns light every moment. When you speak, move, or think, you change how the light around you behaves. If only by the smallest amount. The universe responds to you because you are one of its mirrors. Light is the measure of time, the sculptor of color, the breath of warmth, and the quiet architect of life. It writes history not in ink but in energy, painting the surface of every planet, every face, and every idea that has ever existed. To know light is to understand that nothing stands still. Everything that shines or reflects or glows is part of an unbroken story that began when the first photon left the first spark of creation. It is still being written, and you are living inside it. Take a breath and let it move through you like a slow wave. The foundations of light are not distant theories but realities that surround and sustain you. Every moment of vision, warmth, and life is another proof of its endless work. The photons leaving this world tonight will travel forever, carrying fragments of everything they touch. Somewhere, far into the future, they will tell the story of this instant, the way light always has. When you look up at the night sky, you are not seeing what exists now but what once was. Each star you observe shines with light that began its journey long ago. Perhaps centuries or even billions of years before this moment. The faintest glimmer above you may come from a world that no longer exists. A sun that has already faded into silence. Light preserves what time forgets. It carries the memory of what has happened, allowing the present to hold hands with the past. Every glance toward the stars is a reunion with history. The first stars were unlike those that light our nights today. They were immense, born from clouds of hydrogen and helium left behind by the birth of the universe. Their lives were brief but magnificent, and within their cores the first heavy elements were created. Carbon, oxygen, iron, and the other atoms that make up your body were all formed inside those early stars. When they died, their explosions scattered those elements across space, seeding the galaxies with the materials of life. Every breath you take contains atoms once forged in a long-vanished sun. You are made of starlight transformed into living memory. Light travels freely through the void, yet even it bends to gravity. Where matter collects in vast clusters, space itself curves, and light follows those curves. This bending creates illusions called gravitational lenses. A distant galaxy's light may pass near another cluster of galaxies and be distorted into graceful arcs or rings. What you see is not a trick but the shape of space bending under weight. Through these distortions, astronomers map the hidden scaffolding of the universe, discovering the invisible presence of dark matter that does not shine but holds everything together. Even what cannot be seen reveals itself through the way it touches light. Near the most mysterious regions of the cosmos, light reaches its limits. Around a black hole, gravity grows so intense that space folds inward. There exists a boundary called the event horizon, beyond which not even light can escape. At that threshold, light orbits endlessly, caught between existence and disappearance. From a distance, a black hole appears as a circle of nothing surrounded by a ring of brilliance. Darkness outlined by radiance. It reminds us that absence and presence define each other. That even the void is known because of the glow that surrounds it. When scientists gaze deeper into the universe, they are looking further back in time. The light captured by their telescopes began traveling when the first galaxies were still forming. Each observation becomes a time machine, bringing the early cosmos into the present. By measuring how much the light has stretched as space expanded, scientists can read the age of the universe itself. Each photon is a messenger, carrying information across billions of years. Through these fragile beams, the universe tells its story without words, and all we must do is listen. On Earth, that same light performs smaller miracles. It enters leaves, seas, eyes, and stones, changing form but not purpose. The flame of a candle, the reflection in a window, and the shimmer of water all obey the same rules as the light of galaxies. A single candle in darkness sends out photons in every direction. Some strike the walls, some are absorbed by air, and a few reach your eyes, creating the soft circle of glow that feels like safety. The warmth that touches your face is energy from atoms dancing. The light that lets you see is the same energy that crosses galaxies. The difference is only in scale. Throughout human history, light has been more than a scientific phenomenon. It has been a source of emotion and meaning. Ancient people built temples aligned with the sun, letting its rays enter sacred chambers at precise moments of the year. These alignments were not only calculations of astronomy but expressions of reverence. They turned the movement of light into ceremony. Even today, when the first morning rays touch a mountain or a city skyline, people pause without knowing why. The body remembers that light means life, and the heart remembers that life means hope. Light also shapes how memory itself works. When you look at an old photograph, what you see is light preserved in matter. The faces, the landscapes, the moments captured there are made from photons that once bounced off those people and objects. When you recall them in your mind, the brain recreates them as patterns of brightness within thought. To remember is to reimagine light. Every memory is a reflection, an echo of illumination turned inward. Artists have always chased light because it is the essence of beauty. A painter follows its fall on skin and water. A photographer waits for the golden hour when the world seems softer. When colors deepen and shadows lengthen, a sculptor studies how light reveals the shape of stone. Music, too, borrows its language from illumination, speaking of brightness and tone as if sound could shimmer. Through art, humans have always tried to hold what cannot be held, to keep the fleeting play of light a little longer before it fades. In philosophy and faith, light stands for clarity and understanding. To see the light is to comprehend. To be enlightened is to awaken. The word itself carries warmth and peace. In many traditions, the divine is described not by shape but by radiance. Light represents knowledge, compassion, and awareness because it reveals what was hidden. Darkness is not its enemy but its context. Without shadow, brightness has no depth. The journey from confusion to wisdom mirrors the slow spread of dawn across the sky. Science continues to read the messages light carries. Every discovery about stars, planets, and galaxies begins with photons reaching instruments on Earth. A planet around a distant star can be found when its passing dims the starlight by a fraction. The composition of an atmosphere can be read from how that light is filtered. Entire worlds are revealed without leaving home, simply by studying how light behaves. It is the universe's handwriting, and humanity has finally learned to read it. Still, for all that we know, light remains a mystery. We can describe its speed and measure its energy, but we do not know why it exists exactly as it does. We cannot explain why it is the limit of motion or why it bridges the gap between matter and energy with such perfection. It is both simple and unfathomable, both rule and riddle. To study it is to stand at the edge of knowledge and feel wonder. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine the universe not as darkness filled with points of light but as a sea of brightness through which all things swim. You are part of that ocean. Every thought, every heartbeat, every spark of life is another small ripple of it. To understand light deeply is to see that you have never been separate from it. You are made of the same glow that moves through stars. A brief, beautiful expression of something infinite. Everywhere in the universe, light is the silent messenger that connects one thing to another. It travels through unimaginable distances, yet it never grows old. The photon that reaches your eyes may have crossed clusters of galaxies, passed by invisible clouds of dust, and slipped through corridors of time before finding you. It does not tire. It does not slow, and it never forgets where it has been. The cosmos uses light as a way to remember itself. Every direction you look, you are seeing messages written billions of years ago. You live surrounded by the memory of creation. The journey of light is not only outward, it also flows inward, through the smallest parts of matter. Deep inside every atom, electrons absorb and release photons as they shift between energy levels. This dance is what gives the world its color. When sunlight strikes a ruby, its atoms absorb most wavelengths but return the deep red that you see. When it touches water, the molecules scatter shorter wavelengths, leaving the faint blue that makes oceans seem endless. Every hue around you is born from this conversation between energy and structure. Without light, there would be no color. But without matter, light would have nothing to reveal. They exist only because of each other. If you could see beyond the visible range, you would witness a different world entirely. Infrared light would show you the warmth hidden beneath surfaces, the glow of heat rising from living bodies, and the faint radiation of stones that have stored the sun's energy all day. Ultraviolet would uncover the hidden patterns on flowers that guide bees to nectar. Markings invisible to human eyes but bright as maps to other creatures. Birds navigate by sensing polarized light that cuts through haze and cloud. Even deep beneath the ocean, fish create their own radiance, using bioluminescence to speak in flashes and signals. Life does not merely survive in light. It speaks it, breathes it, and becomes it. Beneath the calm surface of the sea, sunlight filters downward in fading layers. In the topmost layer, called the euphotic zone, light is bright enough for plants and plankton to grow. Below that lies the twilight zone, where the glow weakens and only faint traces remain. Farther still lies darkness, where sunlight never reaches. Yet even there, creatures generate their own faint lights. The eyes of certain squid shine like lanterns. Tiny plankton pulse in bursts of blue. The bodies of fish emit glimmers that attract prey or warn predators away. These are stars of another kind, born not in space but in water. The ocean mirrors the cosmos, glowing with its own constellations. On land, light defines rhythm. Every day begins when dawn spills over the horizon, washing the world with pale color. The first birds rise when the light reaches a certain hue that signals safety. Flowers open their petals in response to the warmth that follows. Humans awaken as light enters the eyes, telling the body to release hormones that bring focus and energy. The rhythm of life is nothing more than the rhythm of light meeting the earth. Even the falling of evening, that moment when shadows lengthen and colors deepen, carries comfort because it completes a cycle that has repeated since the beginning of life itself. The relationship between light and emotion is older than thought. When brightness fills the sky, your heart lifts almost without reason. When clouds cover the sun, something inside you softens and slows. Psychologists call this seasonal affective rhythm, but perhaps it is simpler than that. The body remembers the language of light. It knows that brightness means abundance and shadow means rest. Your feelings are not separate from physics, they are the echo of it. Light is also a sculptor of perception. It gives form to what would otherwise be invisible. A smooth stone in full brightness looks hard and definite. But when light falls at an angle, the same stone reveals tiny ridges and cracks that tell its history. The human eye reads depth and shape not from objects themselves but from the way light plays across their surfaces. The gentle fade from bright to shadow tells the brain where edges curve and where space deepens. Without contrast, everything would flatten into sameness. Shadow is not the opposite of light but its companion, the tool that defines it. Even in human invention, the story of light continues to evolve. The discovery of the laser, a concentrated beam of coherent light, changed everything from medicine to communication. Surgeons use it to cut with precision finer than any blade. Engineers use it to read data from disks and send information through air and glass. Astronomers bounce laser beams off mirrors left on the moon to measure its distance from Earth with millimeter accuracy. All of this is possible because photons, though without weight, can act in perfect unison when guided carefully. The universe that once only reflected light now shapes it. Humanity has learned to write with the very same force that once only illuminated. Yet, even as you live surrounded by artificial light, the natural cycles continue. The sun still governs sleep and waking. The moon still steals its radiance from the sun, shining gently on oceans and tides. Every reflection of lunar glow on a quiet night is a reminder that even borrowed light holds power. It touches the earth softly, guiding migrations, calming waters, and inspiring stories of renewal. There is humility in reflected light, the quiet strength of something that shines only because it listens. At the edge of understanding, light merges with time itself. According to relativity, nothing can travel faster than light because light defines the fabric of spacetime. If you were to chase a beam, time would slow until it nearly stopped. The universe has chosen light as its measure. And everything that moves or rests does so in relation to it. To see light is to glimpse the framework that holds all motion together. You live inside its rhythm without ever leaving it. Light also connects every living being through vision. When you look at someone you love, what you see is light reflected from their face. That light enters your eyes, becomes electrical signals, and travels to your brain, where it forms the image that you recognize. The bond of sight is made entirely of photons moving between two people, bridging distance without words. In that instant, you are physically connected by light. Every meeting of eyes is a quiet exchange of energy older than language. There is a purity in this realization. Light does not choose where to go. It travels wherever there is space. And in doing so, it touches everything equally. The same beam that warms a flower will fall on stone, water, or skin without judgment. It gives itself completely and asks nothing in return. It is the closest thing to unconditional love that exists in the natural world. To live within its reach is to be constantly blessed by generosity. Whether you notice it or not, when you see the day ending and the sky turning soft and gold, you are witnessing light in its gentlest form. It stretches longer through the atmosphere, scattering into warmth. It reminds you that endings can be beautiful. That fading does not mean disappearance. The glow that melts into evening is light's way of saying that everything continues in another form. Light does not stop at the surface of things. It moves through them, revealing what lies within and around. When it passes through water, the world seems to waver and bend. The waves distort the image but also give it life. Refraction turns every pool and droplet into a lens that reshapes reality for an instant. In the same way, when light moves through glass, it can focus, magnify, or scatter, changing how we see the world without changing the world itself. This is the quiet power of transparency. It reminds you that clarity is not the absence of substance but the harmony between what is seen and what is allowed to pass through. Light finds beauty in imperfection. A rough wall catches brightness unevenly, creating texture that draws the eye. A crumpled leaf reflects glimmers of gold and shadow that reveal its veins. The uneven surface of the moon makes its glow tender, not sharp. The dimples and flaws scatter light into patterns that soothe rather than blind. Perfection would reflect too cleanly, offering nothing to hold on to. It is the brokenness of matter that allows light to speak. Every shimmer you see is born from the meeting of irregular things. The same is true for human life. The moments that feel fractured often reveal more truth than those that shine without flaw. Light enters through cracks in clouds, in stone, and in spirit. It seeks openings, not walls. The places that allow light through are the ones that survive the storm. This is not just a metaphor. It is the same law of nature that governs every reflection and refraction. Light moves best through the parts that yield. Deep within forests, light filters through leaves, breaking into hundreds of narrow beams that shift with the wind. Each blade of grass becomes a mirror, each drop of dew a tiny world. The forest is never silent in daylight. It is full of movement. The quiet rustle of brightness traveling from one surface to another. At sunrise, that first thin light does not simply fall, it awakens. The trunks, the moss, the wings of small insects all begin to respond. Everything that can reflect does so. Even what cannot reflect absorbs and becomes warmer, stirring to life. In this simple rhythm, the world breathes. Light travels slower in water than in air and slower in glass than in water. But in a vacuum it reaches its ultimate pace. Nothing can move faster. not because light is hurried, but because it defines the boundary of speed itself. The universe has chosen this motion as its limit, and from it, all physics flows. When a particle approaches the speed of light, time slows for it, distances shorten, and the sense of cause and effect begins to blur. For light itself, time does not pass. The photon that leaves a star and the photon that reaches your eye exist in a single, timeless act. Light is the thread that ties together every moment of the universe into one continuous present. In the cold regions of space, where heat fades and silence reigns, light still moves. It crosses voids larger than imagination, carrying the signatures of everything that has ever burned. Galaxies too distant to see directly still leave faint fingerprints in the fabric of the sky. Even where stars are absent, there is a glow, the residue of ancient creation. Astronomers call it the cosmic background, but you could call it the oldest whisper in existence. It is proof that darkness is never empty, that space itself remembers. Light behaves as though it knows the structure of time. When it slows in matter, it bends, but when it emerges, it resumes its exact pace. It does not keep a trace of delay. It is eternally new, always beginning. Each photon that reaches you is original. It has never been seen before and will never be seen again. This uniqueness gives every moment of light its sacredness. The sunlight that falls on your hand today is not the same sunlight as yesterday. The glow of this instant will never return. Yet another will take its place, just as alive. In human eyes, light becomes awareness. The retina receives it, the brain shapes it, and in that shaping, consciousness awakens. You are not a passive observer but a partner in creation. The world appears because you and light meet halfway. Without one, the other is incomplete. This union between perception and illumination is so natural that it feels ordinary. Yet it is the foundation of experience. Every color, every movement, every memory begins at the meeting point of your gaze and the light that enters it. Light teaches stillness even as it moves. It shows how motion can be calm. A candle flame flickers but never hurries. A sunrise unfolds without noise. The aurora drifts across the polar sky in slow, electric waves. These are lessons written in brightness. To move like light is to travel without rushing. To exist without demand. It is to be full of power but free of aggression. When you breathe in rhythm with light, your body and mind align with something vast and patient. When light encounters shadow, it does not destroy it. It transforms it. The edge of darkness is always softer than it seems. That soft edge, called the penumbra, is where the world blends rather than divides. It is in that space between dark and bright that beauty deepens. Painters and poets know this instinctively. They dwell in the half-light because it holds truth. Nothing in the universe is fully black or fully white. Even the emptiest night sky glows faintly with starlight. The balance between the two gives the universe its depth. If you stand by the sea at dusk and watch the sun sink, you can feel the weight of that balance. The horizon glows not because light fights darkness but because it yields to it gracefully. The sea mirrors the sky. The colors merge, and for a brief time there is no boundary between them. You are watching the universe remember its own harmony. Light's story is not only one of physics but of emotion. It comforts and reveals, heals and humbles. It makes the ordinary sacred by simply touching it. A small beam through a window can turn dust into stars. A flicker of lightning can split the sky and remind you that power can also be beauty. Every spark, every shimmer, every reflection is an invitation to wonder. The universe could have been silent, but it chose to shine. If you breathe now and let the air settle in your chest, you will feel what light feels like: movement without weight, warmth without pressure, presence without voice. You are made from the same material. Light flows through you even when you cannot see it. It lives in your blood, your thoughts, and your memories. The glow of existence moves quietly inside you, echoing the stars. Light carries the rhythm of existence itself. Every heartbeat in your chest, every flicker of thought, every growth of a leaf or drift of a cloud unfolds under its guidance. Without light, there would be no sense of time, no shape to space, no awareness of life. It is the first signal that tells matter what to become and the last whisper that lingers after transformation. When a star is born, light is the first thing it releases. When a star dies, its final act is to shine. Creation begins and ends in brightness. If you could watch the earth from far away, you would see light in endless motion, reflected and absorbed in perfect balance. Sunlight strikes the oceans, bouncing off waves like a living mirror. It glints on rivers, catches in clouds, and scatters through the air until it paints the whole planet in shifting tones. From space, the Earth is not blue only because of water but because light bends through the thin skin of the atmosphere, turning every sunrise and sunset into a soft halo around the world. Even from that distance, it glows as though it remembers that it was born in fire. Light reveals how delicate the connection between all things truly is. When sunlight touches the ground, it warms the soil just enough for seeds to stir. The heat rises and moves the air, forming wind that shapes weather across continents. The same light that begins a breeze in one place may bring rain to another. When it strikes the ocean, it pulls water upward into vapor, carries it across the sky, and returns it as rain to nourish rivers and forests. Each beam becomes part of a vast cycle of renewal. The rain that falls on your window may have once been warmed by sunlight shining on a sea halfway around the world. In this way, light builds the memory of the planet. Every pattern of growth in the forest, every ripple of tide, every spark of lightning is a result of how light enters and leaves the earth. Photosynthesis stores its energy in leaves and wood. Over millions of years, that stored sunlight becomes coal and oil. Buried deep underground, when burned, it returns to the air as heat and light once again. Energy never dies, it only changes its form. The warmth in your hand by a fire is ancient sunlight returning home. Even human civilization is a story written in brightness. The discovery of fire extended the day. Torches and oil lamps carried the glow of survival through the ages. The invention of glass let people capture sunlight indoors. Electricity turned night into opportunity. And cities began to sparkle like constellations seen from the ground. Every light you see in a window or a street lamp is a continuation of that first fire. A descendant of the sun itself. Humanity's progress has always been measured in lumens as much as in ideas. Light also carries the marks of our curiosity. When astronomers build observatories high in the mountains, they are seeking clearer paths for photons to reach them. The faintest rays from distant galaxies tell them how matter behaves at the edge of time. With telescopes that capture invisible wavelengths, they can see the heat left from the birth of the universe or the cold glow of clouds forming new stars. Each discovery begins not with noise or explosion but with a quiet arrival of light. Knowledge itself is illumination. In the small scale of life, light continues its miracles. Inside the human brain, chemical reactions produce tiny flashes as neurons fire. These microbursts of light are not bright enough for your eyes to see. yet they are the sparks of thought itself. Within cells, proteins absorb and release photons as they build, repair, and signal. Even in complete darkness, the body glows faintly with energy. To live is to emit a kind of gentle radiance. Life is not only nourished by light but also becomes its continuation. The colors of the world owe their depth to light's patience. A forest at midday looks one way, and the same forest at twilight becomes entirely different. Shadows lengthen, tones shift, details soften. Nothing about the trees or the soil has changed. Only the angle and quality of light has. Painters and photographers study this with devotion because it reveals that perception itself is fluid. The same truth seen in different light can appear transformed. Reality is not fixed. It is a conversation between brightness and awareness. When you walk through a city at night, you walk through a man-made constellation. Neon signs, windows, and distant traffic lights trace new stars across the landscape. These artificial constellations echo the ones above, reminding you that even as humanity builds its own forms of light, it still looks upward for guidance. There is a quiet humility in that. No matter how much brilliance we create, we remain students of the sky. Beyond the physical, light guides the human spirit. It symbolizes truth, kindness, and renewal. In every culture, rituals of light mark beginnings and endings. Candles are lit to honor those who have passed, to welcome new life, or to celebrate hope. Festivals across the world, whether of lanterns, fire, or dawn, speak one shared language. That brightness brings connection. To share light is to share life. When you light a flame for someone else, your own does not dim, it grows stronger. This is the quiet lesson that nature has whispered since the first sunrise. Light is also the keeper of peace. When you sit beside a fire or under a lamp in the evening, the world slows. The steady glow invites reflection. It tells you that it is safe to rest, that the cycle has completed its turn. The human mind relaxes when brightness softens because light signals the end of the struggle of seeing. The world no longer demands attention, it simply exists. In this stillness, awareness expands. The heart, warmed by light, remembers its gentler nature. As the day closes and the stars return, the story of light continues without interruption. It moves from the sun to the moon, from the sky to the earth, from the world around you into the quiet spaces of thought. The same energy that began the universe hums softly within you, transformed into warmth, into vision, into love. The glow of existence never truly fades, it only shifts to another form, another wavelength, another journey. Light does not die, it rests. When you breathe in and close your eyes, you can feel that radiance still present behind your eyelids. It is soft and constant, like a pulse that belongs to something far larger than yourself. That glow is not imagination. It is the body's reminder that light has always been your companion. You have lived your entire life within its reach. From your first moment of sight to the final fade of evening, light has never left you. It is the language the universe speaks through you and to you. The deeper you explore it, the more it ceases to be just a phenomenon and becomes something like grace. It moves without sound. It gives without demand. It connects without boundary. Every thought, every star, every flame is a reflection of it. To live with awareness of light is to see the universe not as distant, but as intimate. Everything shines, and everything remembers. Let yourself breathe gently as light begins to settle. After the long journey through stars, oceans, and the intricate heart of matter, it feels natural to pause. Light has carried us outward into the cosmos and inward into the smallest cells of life. Now it returns us to stillness, to the place where understanding meets quiet reflection. In this moment, you can feel how everything that has been said about light is also a way of describing yourself. You are not only an observer of brightness but its continuation, a living reflection of its passage through time. There is light inside you that no instrument can measure. It shines not from fire or electricity but from awareness. Every thought that rises in your mind glows softly, illuminating understanding. Every emotion warms and fades like the colors of a sunset. The energy that fuels your heart and your breath is part of the same current that moves through the stars. The universe did not give you light as something separate, it made you from it. Your existence is one of its many ways of shining. To live is to receive and return light in endless exchange. You take in sunlight as warmth, food, and sight, and you give it back as motion, laughter, and thought. Even when you rest, your body releases a faint radiance, invisible to the eye but real in its essence. The photons that leave your skin will travel forever. Somewhere, they will touch something else, carrying the memory of you forward into the fabric of space. In this way, nothing luminous is ever truly lost. Everything that glows leaves traces that time cannot erase. Light teaches patience. It crosses the emptiness between stars without complaint. It bends when it meets gravity, slows when it enters water, and scatters without resistance when it meets dust. It does not fight the forms that change it. It simply continues, adapting to everything it encounters while never forgetting its origin. There is wisdom in this quiet persistence. You too can move through the obstacles of life with the same calm grace. Bending without breaking, yielding without losing your path. Reflection is not only something light does but something it inspires. When a beam meets a mirror, it doubles the world. When a thought meets silence, it deepens understanding. The word reflection itself joins these two acts. Light returning from a surface becomes vision. Thought returning to itself becomes insight. Both are forms of awareness. Both require stillness. And both reveal what was hidden. You do not see light until it meets something that reflects it. Just as you do not truly know yourself until life gives you something to respond to. Every shadow you have known is proof that light is near. A shadow cannot exist without brightness. It is only the shape of what interrupts it. In this way, darkness is never the absence of light but the evidence of its presence. When you face moments that feel heavy or uncertain, remember that they are simply the contours where light cannot yet reach. The boundary between dark and bright is never fixed. It shifts with time and awareness. Eventually, light finds every corner. The presence of light brings connection. When you look at another person, you see the reflection of light on their eyes. That light then enters yours, creating a bridge of energy between two beings. Without a single word, two lives touch. This silent exchange happens countless times each day. Yet it goes unnoticed. Light is the thread that weaves empathy, the invisible bond that allows you to feel the world as part of yourself. It is easy to think of light as something external, but it is also the rhythm within you. The same electromagnetic energy that travels from stars moves through the electrical impulses in your nerves. When you imagine, dream, or remember, your brain emits tiny flashes of biophotons, real particles of light moving through living tissue. Awareness itself may be a form of illumination. In the truest sense, consciousness is how the universe becomes visible to itself. Every act of kindness is a form of light. It brightens the space around it, sometimes in ways too subtle to see but always felt. Words of comfort, gestures of care, the quiet patience of listening. All are forms of reflection. They turn the inner brightness outward. Just as light divides itself endlessly without losing strength, compassion multiplies when shared. When you pass light to others, it does not diminish in you, it grows clearer. As night falls, the world does not become dark, it becomes intimate. The harsh outlines fade, and what remains is soft. Light withdraws not in defeat but in rest, gathering strength for another dawn. The cycle of illumination and shadow teaches you that even the most radiant things need pause. Without night, you would not recognize the meaning of morning. Without stillness, brightness would overwhelm. In the alternation of both lies balance, and in balance lies peace. The universe is a mirror reflecting itself endlessly. Galaxies spin, stars burn, planets turn, and in every glimmer, light looks back at its source. The same reflection happens in you. Each time you notice beauty, each time you feel awe or love, you are light recognizing light. The boundary between the self and the cosmos dissolves in that awareness. What shines in the sky and what shines in you are not different things. They are the same radiance, passing through different forms for a brief and beautiful time. Take another breath. Let your body feel its weight and your mind its quiet. You are both the traveler and the reflection, the giver and the receiver, the light and the mirror. The story you have been hearing is not only about the universe outside but the one inside you. Both are made from the same brightness. Both move toward understanding, and both will continue long after this moment ends. Somewhere far beyond the edges of what you can see, light continues its endless journey through space. It travels through clouds of dust that glow faintly in its wake, through the silent arms of galaxies that spin like slow whirlpools of fire. It glides across the dark fabric of the universe, never stopping, never fading, only changing its tone as it moves. In those great distances, it carries the echo of everything that has ever lived and burned and dreamed. The same light that touched the first star still exists, stretched thin and cool but never gone. You are breathing within its glow right now. A small pulse inside the same vast wave that began billions of years ago. When you think of light as distant, it feels unreachable, but it is also here, inside every part of you. The photons that warm your skin are the same kind that feed the cells in plants, the same kind that strike your eyes and become thought. The boundaries between stars and life are illusions. The light that begins in the heart of a sun can pass through oceans, enter fruit, turn into energy, and become the motion of your own heartbeat. You are a continuation of that ancient chain of transformation. The sun is not above you but within you, its radiance folded into the warmth of your blood. The human body is a living archive of light's work. The eyes collect it, the skin feels it, the mind turns it into story. Each breath you take, each cell that divides, each spark of awareness follows the rhythm that light established. Even your sleep depends on it. When the evening darkens and brightness fades, your body begins to release melatonin, guiding you toward rest. When dawn returns, the first light on your eyelids wakes you gently, reminding you that the world has begun again. You are tuned to the same cycle as the earth, and the earth is tuned to the same rhythm as the sun. Light is the clock that everything obeys. Somewhere out there, in the deep polar skies, the aurora dances in colors that seem unreal. It begins when particles from the sun strike Earth's magnetic field, spiraling downward toward the poles. As they collide with atoms in the atmosphere, they release flashes of green, violet, and red. What you see as ribbons of light are in truth the breath of the solar wind meeting the air of your own planet. The dance of aurora is a conversation between worlds. In the silence of the Arctic night, it moves like music, slow and fluid, as though the sky were remembering a dream. Somewhere out there, light still hides in ice. Deep within glaciers, ancient sunlight is trapped in tiny bubbles, frozen for thousands of years. Scientists can release those bubbles and read the air of forgotten ages. The light that once fell on a snowflake now tells the story of climate, of breath, of time itself. Even in stillness, light remains a witness. It waits patiently in matter until someone listens. The frozen glow of a glacier and the pulse of a star share the same origin. Both are memories preserved in energy. Somewhere out there, light moves through the endless forest of space, illuminating clouds of gas that will one day become stars. Gravity gathers the atoms, and the glow begins again. A star forms, burns, and dies, sending its brightness outward to seed new creation. The universe breathes through this rhythm, expanding and contracting in cycles of illumination. The same process happens within you each moment as cells burn energy and release heat. You are not separate from the universe's breathing. You are its echo made small and conscious. In the stillness of night, when you close your eyes, your mind recreates light in another form. You dream in images and colors even when no external brightness enters. The brain becomes a private cosmos, generating its own radiance from memory and imagination. The light in your dreams does not come from the sun or the moon, it comes from within. Each spark of vision in sleep is a reflection of the same process that began with stars, the transformation of energy into meaning. Dreaming is a kind of cosmic echo, the universe observing itself from the inside. When you lie in darkness and feel the quiet pulse of your body, you are surrounded by invisible radiance. Infrared warmth leaves your skin, mixing with the air. Electrical activity flows through your nerves, generating faint electromagnetic fields. Even your heartbeat creates ripples of energy that spread outward, merging with the world. Light and life are intertwined so completely that it is impossible to say where one ends and the other begins. You are not only shaped by light, you are made of it. In every culture, light has symbolized consciousness. Philosophers have compared awareness to illumination because both reveal what is hidden. To become awake is to move from shadow into brightness. Yet awakening is not only about seeing the world but about recognizing the light that already exists inside it. The candle does not create fire, it releases what was always waiting. When you understand this, you begin to see light not as something to chase but as something to notice. It is already everywhere, even in the quiet moments that feel empty. Science calls light a wave of electromagnetic energy. But in another sense, it is also a wave of meaning. It carries messages through distance. From stars to telescopes, from eyes to hearts. The photons that reach you are messengers of reality itself, telling you what the universe looks like, how it behaves, what it remembers. Every glimmer on water, every glow of moonlight, every sparkle in the eyes of someone you love is a sentence in that endless message. You are reading the universe every moment you look around. Somewhere out there, beyond the reach of human sight, light continues to travel through clouds of cosmic dust that once hid newborn stars. Each beam that escapes those clouds carries the signature of creation. It moves onward forever, untouched by the cold. The universe is not expanding into darkness, it is expanding into itself, carrying its own brightness wherever it goes. The farther light travels, the more gently it sings. The background radiation that hums behind everything you hear is the soft echo of that song. a lullaby from the beginning of time. As you listen now, you are part of that song, the rhythm of your breathing, the quiet beating of your heart, the faint warmth around you. All of it belongs to the same harmony. Light is the melody that connects stars, oceans, and thought. It does not belong to any single place or being. It is the language the universe uses to speak to itself. You have been hearing it all your life without realizing it. In every sunrise, in every reflection, in every feeling that glows without reason. Light does not simply illuminate space, it gives shape to time. The rhythm of its movement defines how the universe unfolds. Each second that passes, each orbit, each heartbeat is measured by how long it takes for light to cross a distance. Without it, there would be no measure of change, no sense of before or after, only stillness. The universe lives because light moves. Time breathes because brightness travels. You too exist within this rhythm, your own life unfolding in the same current that guides galaxies. Every thought you have is a flicker of electricity, a small pulse of light inside the brain. These flashes move across billions of neural connections, forming ideas, emotions, and memory. They travel at a fraction of the speed of light, carrying meaning from one cell to another, shaping the awareness that looks out through your eyes. When you feel wonder at the stars or warmth at the sight of dawn, it is light within you responding to light beyond you. The same energy that crosses the vacuum between suns now echoes inside your body as thought. The boundary between cosmos and consciousness is not a wall but a reflection. Somewhere out there, far beyond human reach, stars are being born in clouds of gas so vast they could hold thousands of suns. In those places, light does not yet shine freely. It is trapped within the dense mist, bouncing endlessly from particle to particle, searching for escape. Slowly, as gravity pulls the gas tighter, the temperature rises, and fusion begins. When the first photons finally break free, they burst outward, turning darkness into day. The birth of a star is the universe remembering how to glow. Every sunrise on Earth repeats that story in miniature. A reminder that creation is ongoing and that even within you, something ancient keeps awakening. Light carries the pattern of order within chaos. The same equations that describe how it bends and spreads govern the growth of rivers, clouds, and living forms. You can see these patterns in the veins of leaves, the spiral of shells, and the swirl of galaxies. All follow the path of least resistance. The same logic that guides light. When you look closely, you realize that the laws shaping light are the same laws shaping you. Every cell, every pulse, every breath follows the geometry of illumination. The light that touches your skin today left the surface of the sun more than 8 minutes ago. The light from the nearest star took over 4 years to arrive. The light from the Andromeda galaxy began its journey 2 million years before humanity existed. When you look at the night sky, you are not seeing the present but the past still shining. Time and light intertwine so completely that to see is to remember. The universe shows its history in brightness, and by looking, you become part of that memory. Somewhere out there, the glow of distant worlds circles their suns. Some are shrouded in mist, others covered in oceans, others bare and stony. Light touches them all differently, painting each with a unique tone. Scientists studying exoplanets use the way light dims and shifts to learn their secrets. They can tell if a planet has air, water, or clouds just by reading the color of its passing shadow. Through light alone, we discover new homes across the galaxy. Though we have never touched them, the universe reveals itself generously to anyone patient enough to watch. The connection between light and emotion runs deeper than instinct. Brightness changes the chemistry of the brain. It releases serotonin, the hormone of calm, and sharpens focus. Gentle evening light releases melatonin, soothing you towards sleep. You are built to feel the sky. The alternation of day and night writes its language into your body, each cell following the rhythm without needing to think. In a sense, the sun does not rise each morning, you rise to meet it. The pattern of its warmth is already printed in you. Light is both order and freedom. It travels straight in a vacuum. Yet when it meets water or glass, it bends gracefully. It obeys laws yet moves with fluid elegance. This combination of precision and softness is what gives the world its beauty. A sunrise would not glow if light were rigid. A rainbow would not curve if it refused to yield. The harmony of creation lies in the balance between obedience and surrender. Light shows how to follow a path without losing grace. Inside every human heart is a small mirror of this truth. When you let understanding pass through you, you reflect it without distortion. When you resist, the reflection breaks. Light teaches openness not through words but through being. It moves through what allows it, and it stops where resistance begins. The more transparent your thoughts, the more the world reveals itself. The clearer your heart, the more beauty finds you. In this way, seeing becomes an act of participation. Somewhere out there, deep in interstellar space, light encounters clouds so thick that it cannot pass. Instead, it warms them gently until they begin to glow from within. This faint radiance is called emission, a soft self-light born out of patience. The same process happens in people. When life feels heavy or obscured, light does not abandon you, it turns inward, waiting for the moment when it can shine again. The glow that returns after darkness is always warmer, always truer. At the edges of the universe, the oldest light continues to expand. It cools as it travels, stretching into wavelengths invisible to the eye. That radiation, known as the cosmic background, fills all of space evenly. It is the echo of the first illumination, the afterglow of creation itself. Scientists can measure its temperature and see faint variations that mark the seeds of galaxies. But beyond numbers and maps, it is a reminder that even after fire fades, warmth remains. The first light of the universe still touches you. Every photon that brushes your skin carries the story of the beginning. Everywhere in nature, from the smallest leaf to the farthest star, light follows a path of simplicity. It travels in straight lines, reflects at equal angles, and seeks the shortest route between points. Yet from these plain rules arise endless complexity. This is how nature speaks, through simplicity repeated until it becomes infinite. Light is the simplest thing, and yet from it comes all color, all warmth, all sight. It shows that what is most basic can also be most profound. When you sit quietly and watch the world around you, you can feel this truth. The sunlight on the wall, the glow through a curtain, the shimmer on the surface of a glass of water. These are not separate phenomena. They are continuations of one act that began before time had a name. Light is still unfolding its story, and you are one of its sentences. To notice it is to join its language. In the end, light does not need worship. It needs only awareness. It exists for its own sake, and in that simplicity lies peace. The same stillness that fills space also fills you when you remember that you are part of it. There is no separation between illumination and observer, only reflection. The light that falls upon your face is the same light that left the first stars. And through you, it continues its path. Light has always been both teacher and companion. It does not speak, but it shows. And through its showing, understanding blooms. When you watch how sunlight moves across a landscape, it becomes clear that time itself is visible. The angle of the rays marks morning, noon, and evening. The length of shadows tells you where you stand in the day. Even without clocks or calendars, you would still know the rhythm of existence by the movement of light. It is the oldest form of knowledge, a language spoken since before words. When light passes through air heavy with moisture, it scatters into halos that surround the sun or moon. In that moment, you are seeing the invisible structure of the atmosphere. The halo tells you about ice crystals high above, shaped perfectly to bend light into a circle. In this gentle way, light writes the weather. Every rainbow, every glimmer on frost, every shimmer in heat is the earth speaking to you through radiance. The planet does not keep secrets, it reveals its moods in brightness. Light connects not only space and time but also perception and meaning. Your eyes take in photons and turn them into color, but your mind turns color into emotion. The pale blue of morning carries peace. The deep gold of evening carries memory. The sharp white of midday carries alertness. These are not random feelings but echoes of survival. For countless generations, life has responded to these signals, knowing when to hunt, when to rest, when to sleep. Even now, surrounded by artificial glow, your body still listens. When the screen dims and the room grows dark, a quiet signal tells you to let go. Light shapes the boundaries between waking and dreaming. Somewhere in the mountains, sunlight filters through thin clouds, touching snow and rock. Each reflection bounces from crystal to crystal, creating a field of sparkle that seems alive. The same photons that left the sun 8 minutes ago now leap from stone to snow to eye, forming the image you see. That simple journey, sun to earth to sight, is a miracle repeated billions of times each second. Nothing in the universe is more constant and yet more fleeting. Light's gift is that it makes the temporary eternal, allowing each instant to be both passing and permanent. In the depths of human history, light guided exploration and belief. Fire was the first teacher, showing warmth and safety. The stars were the first map, turning wanderers into navigators. The moonlight over ancient deserts, the shimmer on ocean waves, the gleam of dawn through forest mist. These guided humanity long before compasses or machines. To follow light is to follow the promise of discovery. Every path, every idea, every journey of understanding begins with something shining in the distance and a willingness to move toward it. Light also holds silence. In the vast vacuum between galaxies, it travels for millions of years without touching anything. Yet when it finally reaches a telescope, that single photon brings with it the voice of a star that has been gone for eons. The space between is not empty but waiting, and light fills it with meaning. You too travel through spaces like this, long stretches of quiet between moments of clarity. In those silences, something gathers within you, waiting for its chance to shine again. Somewhere within the human spirit lies a memory of light that goes beyond sight. It is the instinct that draws you to warmth, that lifts you toward brightness, that softens you in the presence of glow. It is what makes a candle comforting, a sunrise hopeful, and a window open to the sky a reminder that there is always more beyond. Light feeds imagination as much as it feeds life. It stirs longing and calm in equal measure, a perfect balance between curiosity and peace. Light has the power to make stillness visible. The shimmer on a pond reveals that the water is calm. The faint beam through fog reveals that the air is thick but gentle. When light touches darkness, It shows texture where there seemed to be emptiness. In your own life, moments of clarity arrive the same way. Understanding does not always come with noise or force. It arrives quietly, a small illumination that softens confusion rather than shattering it. This is the lesson of light, to reveal without violence, to guide without demand. Somewhere out there, among the dust and stars, light weaves a bridge between the living and the vast unknown. A beam from a dying sun travels across eternity, enters a lens on earth, and becomes knowledge in the mind of a person who will pass that understanding to others. Through this exchange, the universe learns itself. Knowledge is simply light that has found a place to rest. Each time you understand something new, a photon that has traveled across time finds a home in your awareness. In every field of science, light remains the essential instrument. Microscopes use it to see the tiny structures of cells. Telescopes use it to capture galaxies so far away that their glow has crossed most of cosmic history. Even in medicine, light heals, burning away disease or guiding delicate surgery. It is as though the universe left its power within the reach of those willing to look closely. We do not command light, we collaborate with it. Through this collaboration, progress unfolds quietly, like dawn. There are forms of light you cannot see, but your body feels them. The gentle heat that radiates from living things is infrared light. The pulse of radio waves around you is also light, stretched to long wavelengths that carry voices and signals through walls and air. The X-rays that reveal the structure of bone are light at another frequency. The entire world, visible and invisible, is made of the same vibration. To understand this is to realize that what appears separate is united in rhythm. Even shadows depend on light. They exist because something interrupts its path. A shadow is not an enemy of brightness but a shape created by it. In this way, absence becomes a form of presence. The mind works the same way. What you do not yet understand defines what you seek to know. The spaces where light does not reach invite curiosity. Without darkness, there would be no exploration. Without mystery, no discovery. The unknown is the shadow that keeps the soul awake. As night returns and the world cools, light retreats softly, not vanishing but folding into the air. The glow of cities fades into starlight, and the horizon becomes a slow mirror. The earth turns its face toward rest, and the rhythm of brightness continues elsewhere. Somewhere, on another side of the world, dawn has begun again. Light is never truly gone, it is always arriving somewhere else. What you call night is only the world sharing light with others. If you sit quietly and let that thought settle, you might feel how vast connection really is. Every life, every breath, every dream is part of this luminous exchange. You are one reflection in an unending web of brightness. The light you see is the same that someone else will see later. Carried forward by time and motion, nothing you do, no warmth you offer, is ever lost. It continues, traveling in ways you cannot follow but can always feel. When you remember this, peace comes easily. You no longer need to chase light or hold it. You only need to notice it, to allow it, to live within it. It was never outside of you to begin with. It was always here, waiting to be seen. The story of light has no ending because it is not a story of arrival but of movement. Even now, while you rest, photons continue to cross the universe, weaving a fabric that holds everything together. The light leaving a candle, the glow of a star, the faint reflection from a raindrop all travel outward endlessly. They do not disappear, they only drift beyond sight. Somewhere in the distance, those same photons will touch something new and continue their journey. In this way, The universe never stops breathing. The act of shining is its heartbeat. Light is not confined by the boundaries we imagine. It passes through the smallest gap and finds its way through the thickest darkness. It threads between atoms, glides across the surface of water, and reflects off the curve of an eye. It moves effortlessly through both emptiness and air, reminding us that presence does not depend on solidity. The most powerful things in existence are often the most intangible. You cannot hold light, yet it holds the meaning of everything you see. You cannot capture it, yet it defines every outline of your life. At dawn, when the first rays touch the edge of the horizon, the world seems to exhale. The colors return, the air grows warmer, and the silence of night gives way to the quiet hum of beginning. Each sunrise is older than any mountain or sea. It is a repetition of the first light that ever touched the earth. A continuation of that first spark from the birth of the universe. And yet each one is new, shaped by clouds, by season, by the way your eyes receive it. No two dawns are ever the same. And in that difference lies the wonder of time. As light moves across the sky, it writes its rhythm on everything it touches. The sharp brightness of midday makes edges clear and distances real. The slanting rays of afternoon turn the world golden, softening every color into harmony. When evening arrives, light pulls itself thin, stretching into warmth that feels like memory. The cycle repeats with precision, but what you feel within it is never mechanical. It is music. Each hour is a note, each shadow a pause, and each glimmer a chord in the song of existence. Somewhere deep in the forest, where sunlight filters through layers of leaves, the air glows green and gold. The beams move like living threads, weaving through branches, catching on dust, and shifting with every breath of wind. In that filtered world, light feels alive, as if it has found a slower way to move. The forest does not resist illumination, it listens to it. Every leaf tilts to catch what it can. Every droplet of moisture becomes a small mirror. The forest lives by learning how to absorb and return brightness. This quiet exchange between plant and photon is one of the oldest partnerships in nature. The same relationship that sustains your breath. When you walk through such a place, you move inside the dialogue of light and matter. The color you see, the warmth you feel, and the scent that rises from the ground all come from that relationship. Light touches each thing and releases its hidden essence. Wood smells richer, soil darker, air warmer. It reminds you that perception is not about taking in the world but meeting it halfway. You do not merely observe, you participate. Light carries knowledge without judgment. It shows you the world as it is. Indifferent yet beautiful. A ray falling on a blade of grass does not ask whether it should, it simply does. This impartial generosity is one of the universe's greatest truths. Everything that exists receives light equally. What differs is how each thing responds. Some absorb it fully, some reflect it gently, some bend it into color. Humans are no different. You, too, choose how to receive and return the brightness offered to you. At times, the light seems hidden, veiled by clouds or buried under the weight of thought. Yet even then, it remains. Above the cloud, the sky is still blue, beyond the storm. The sun still burns. Darkness is not an absence but a delay. It is the brief moment before the light finds a new path. This understanding is a kind of peace. You no longer need to wait for light to arrive. You can trust that it is always near. Just beyond the veil. When night falls, the stars return, small but infinite. Each one is a reminder that even the smallest glow can hold meaning across impossible distances. You look upward and realize that those points of light are not random but arranged in patterns that generations before you have recognized. The constellations are not in the sky alone, they live in memory. In myth, in the stories people told to understand themselves. Light connects not only atoms and stars but hearts and generations. The glow that guided ancient travelers across oceans is the same that guides your thoughts through uncertainty. Sometimes, the faintest light can feel the most profound. The reflection of a candle in a dark room. The shimmer of moonlight on water. The pulse of fireflies over a summer field. These are gentle reminders that brightness need not be loud to be true. In stillness, light becomes intimacy. It no longer announces the world, it reveals what has been there all along. It is in such moments that you can hear your own breath and feel how quietly the universe moves. Every moment of illumination carries a seed of rest. When you close your eyes after looking at something bright, the afterimage lingers, a faint glow behind the lids. That glow is not an illusion but a continuation. It is proof that light does not vanish when hidden, it transforms. In the same way, understanding stays even after words fade. Warmth remains even after the flame goes out. Every encounter with brightness leaves something behind. Light teaches gentleness through its constancy. It never forces, never clings, never claims. It appears, offers itself, and moves on. It does not demand gratitude or attention. Its gift is simply to be. You can live this way too, moving through the world with presence but without possession. Giving warmth without expectation, shining without needing to be seen. To live like light is to live freely. In the end, all journeys of light led to transformation. When a photon meets an atom, it changes into heat or color or motion. When it meets water, it becomes reflection. When it meets you, it becomes thought, emotion, memory. Every meeting is both an ending and a beginning. The universe renews itself through these constant exchanges. Each one tiny, each one infinite. You can close your eyes now and feel that transformation within yourself. The warmth in your chest, the calm in your breath, the quiet awareness spreading through your body, all of it is light settling into peace. It has traveled across time and distance only to arrive here. In this moment, as you, it will continue after you, moving through others, through the air, through the endless sky. The story of light is the story of continuity. The promise that nothing luminous ever truly fades. Light has been here since the first breath of the universe. It was the first thing to escape from the fire of creation. The first to cross the silence of the void. And the first to carry meaning through emptiness. Every spark, every star, every reflection is an echo of that first radiance. When you think of light, you may imagine it as something that simply lets you see. But it is far more than vision. It is the shape of time, the rhythm of space, the language of everything that exists. It moves through stars and through skin, through air and through memory. It touches everything that has form and everything that has thought. You are living within it now, as you have since the moment you were born. The light that reaches your eyes has traveled farther than any journey you will ever take. It has crossed galaxies, brushed the edge of gravity, and arrived perfectly on time to reveal the world around you. That same light has touched countless things before it found you. It has passed through the dust of comets, the breath of the atmosphere, and the trembling of leaves. Each time it met something, it changed slightly, carrying forward traces of where it had been. When it enters your eyes, it becomes part of you. You are the final stop on a voyage that began long before life existed. It is easy to forget that light is not simply what we see, but what holds everything together. Without it, atoms could not bond, plants could not grow, and the delicate balance of temperature that allows water to flow and air to move would collapse. Even your heartbeat is tied to it, following rhythms set by the day and the night. The alternation between brightness and darkness gives your body its natural harmony, teaching it when to rest and when to rise. The gentle blue of morning awakens you. The soft orange of dusk soothes you. You have never lived a single moment without light guiding your body's quiet song. In every dawn, the world remembers its beginning. The first rays that rise above the horizon are the same kind of light that filled the universe after its birth. They are older than memory and yet feel endlessly new. Each sunrise is both repetition and renewal, proof that something ancient continues without effort. It spills across mountains, rivers, forests, and cities, painting every surface with warmth. Even if clouds hide the sun, its glow seeps through, filtered but unbroken. That persistence is the essence of light. It adapts, softens, bends, but never disappears. As you move through life, light follows you in ways you rarely notice. It glances off glass, scatters on water, rests on skin, and folds gently into your eyes. It becomes part of your memories, shaping how you remember moments and people. The mind does not recall in words alone, it recalls in brightness. You remember the color of a room, the shimmer of an afternoon, the quiet glow of someone's smile. Every recollection is a return to light. Even in sadness, there is a trace of glow, the faint reminder that the same world that holds sorrow also holds beauty. When you walk at night, the world seems dim, but light still finds its way. It reflects from the moon, from the windows of distant houses, from the faint shimmer of stars. The darkness you see is not absence but gentleness, a lowering of the voice of light so that you may rest. If brightness were constant, there would be no peace. The rhythm of day and night is an act of compassion, the universe's way of balancing clarity with calm. Darkness is light's way of letting you dream. In the silence of night, light continues to move invisibly around you. The stars above are sending their stories across space, and some of those stories are reaching you this very moment. The photons entering your room might have started from suns so far away that their light began its journey before Earth existed. You live surrounded by messages from the past, bathed in the quiet glow of creation. Even when you close your eyes, the warmth on your skin is proof that the stars have not forgotten you. You are part of their memory, a listener to their eternal whisper. Light also moves within you. The energy that flows through your nerves and cells is light slowed and changed. The glow of thought, the warmth of emotion, the pulse of feeling are all manifestations of energy once released by stars. Every heartbeat is a translation of that same radiance into motion. Every breath returns it gently to the air. The difference between you and the light that moves through space is only form. The same energy that drives the sun drives the life within you. You are not illuminated by the universe, you are made of it. The understanding of this truth brings peace. You no longer need to search for connection because it has always been present. The light that falls on a mountain also falls on your hands. The glow that circles a distant moon also touches your eyes. There is no separation. The world and you are made from the same brightness, shaped by the same rhythm. When you feel warmth, it is the cosmos greeting itself through you. Everything you love is bound by this quiet radiance. The way a loved one's eyes catch light, the way leaves turn toward the sun, the way fire flickers in a dark room. All of these are gestures of the same force expressing itself through countless forms. The beauty of light lies in its generosity. It gives itself freely and asks nothing in return. It allows things to be seen and never keeps what it touches. It passes on, carrying fragments of each encounter. Every reflection, every gleam, every moment of color is proof that giving and receiving are not separate acts but one continuous motion. When the mind becomes still, you can sense that continuity everywhere. The shimmer on the surface of a river is the same shimmer within thought. The glow of dusk outside the window is the same calm that softens your chest as you breathe. Everything that shines in the world has its echo inside you. You and light have always been reflections of each other. When you recognize this, the boundary between outer and inner dissolves. What you see becomes what you are. It is no coincidence that all languages use light as a symbol for understanding. To find clarity is to be illuminated. To lose direction is to be in darkness. Yet even the darkest night holds stars. And even confusion carries the possibility of insight. Light never leaves completely. It waits quietly until you are ready to see again. Awareness grows like dawn, not as a flash but as a slow unfolding. The more you trust that rhythm, the more peace you find. In the vast quiet of the cosmos, light continues to speak. It tells of the birth of galaxies, the fall of stars, the swirling of planets. It describes everything without words. When scientists look through telescopes, they are listening to light's language, deciphering the universe through color and distance. But you, too, can listen, not through instruments but through attention. Every reflection, every flicker, every soft shadow is a verse in the same poem. The world is not silent, it sings in brightness. Even as you prepare to sleep, that song continues. The photons that filled your day will keep traveling long after your eyes close. The warmth they left in your skin will linger, fading slowly into air. The body will surrender to rest, but the light will not stop. It will move outward, carrying with it traces of your existence, your breath, your warmth, your reflection. In this way, you will continue through the night as part of the great exchange between energy and space. Sleep is not an ending, it is the quiet turn of the same rhythm. You can let your breath slow now, following the gentle rise and fall that matches the rhythm of light itself. Each inhale gathers the glow around you. Each exhale releases it back to the world. The mind softens. The body grows light. You no longer need to think, only to feel the calm of connection. The air is warm with invisible radiance, a reminder that the universe has always been kind. You are safe within it, carried by the same force that moves stars through space. Soon, dreams will come. They will carry images and colors born not from the sun but from within your own awareness. The brain will weave its own light from memory and imagination. You will walk through landscapes made of radiance, guided by the same energy that governs the waking world. The line between real and imagined will blur, and all that will remain is movement and glow. The universe will continue its story through you as you rest. When morning returns, the light will greet you again. Patient as always, it will enter through your window, touch your eyes, and wake you gently. You will open them, and the world will appear, fresh and full of color. The same cycle will begin again, brightness and shadow, waking and rest, energy and stillness. It is not repetition but renewal. The universe breathing through you once more. Even in darkness, light never stops traveling. It continues its journey across space and through time, carrying memory, warmth, and meaning. Every spark of kindness, every breath of understanding, every act of love is part of that same motion. You have always belonged to it. You always will. So rest now, wrapped in its quiet glow. Feel the weight of your body sink into peace. Feel the warmth of the air around you. Feel the slow rhythm of your breath. You are surrounded by the same radiance that lights the stars. It has carried you this far and will carry you farther still. Sleep deeply, knowing that even in silence, even in stillness, the universe continues to shine through you. Because light, in every form and every heart, never stops traveling. It only changes direction. It only continues. And so do you.